When's the next selectmen's meeting?
The next.
Fourth, right?
Yeah.
Fourth, right?
Yeah.
And then that the same day, the Inktown?
We have a fundraiser event that Mel Ford and I are going to, which I guess Colby opted out of.
Wow, that's a lot of things. I
I
know you didn't, because you're my friend. Yeah. Okay.
I'll open the first public hearing for the Oxford Plains Speedway Mass Gathering application for the 50th annual Oxford 250 weekend with expected attendees for the event of 5,000 to 14,999. Is there anyone here to speak on this?
What do you okay with it, and everything, Rick?
I am, yeah.
Yes.
No
Not
problem
you
at
on
all.
fire?
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, I'll close public hearing number 1. Public hearing number 2, Oxford Plains Speedway Mass Gathering application for scheduled events with the numbers of expected attendees for the events of 1,000 to 4,999. Is there anyone here to speak on this? Questions or comments from the board or the public? Okay, I will close that public hearing. Public hearing number 3, change of location application for pawnbroker, precious metal dealer, or second-hand dealer for Paras Trading Company. Is there anyone here to talk on this at the public hearing? Yes, sir.
Just to let you know, what we're attempting to do is move it from the candle place where it was before, back down to its original location in the building with Route 26 Antiques.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments? Yeah, I'll close public hearing number 3. I will now call to order the selectmen's meeting, so please join us in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 2, action on the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Item number 3, adjustments to the agenda. Adam?
I have nothing, ma'am.
Okay. Number 4, public comments. If you wish to speak, please state your name and the town that you are from for the record. Does anyone want to speak? Lois?
Down in front of the house, oh wait a minute, I gotta shut me off. Down in front of the house, actually it's not on my property, but it's right on, I think we own it, the town owns it. There's a tree that's leaning, it's uprooted, and it's now leaning on one that's bending more and more. You have to shut the road down to clear it. That's why I haven't called it a Jamie, because nobody could see it. You would do work in there, as you come around the corner, it's right there.
Between your driveway and the first driveway there and what? Between your driveway and the first driveway as you come around the corner?
Yeah, it's actually on Linda's property, but it doesn't really matter. It's this side of the stone wall, so that's town property as far as I know. But I don't know what's holding it up there, I really don't.
I'll bring it up to Jim so
Yeah.
he or Shane can take a look at it. Yeah.
Do we have any other questions or comments from the public? This lady in the second row, I saw first.
Gloria Meyer, I'm from Gorham, and I wasn't sure what to do about paying the bill.
Oh, we'll get to you at the end of the meeting, Pam.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Jim?
Hi, Jim Mosher, Oxford. I wanted to contribute a little to the sewer discussion, so I'm happy to wait till you guys do that if you're comfortable with people speaking while you're speaking, or I can say my piece now, whichever you prefer.
Sorry, talking.
Go right ahead.
Okay, well, I came tonight because I see you guys talking about the sewer, and I know you're probably gonna be discussing how to deal with the shortfalls and moving forward. I'm on the sewer, and so I wanted to share my thoughts as somebody who has been on it. I wanted you guys to consider maybe an incentive program to get some new people to come on to the sewer. I think part of the issue is that it's cost prohibitive for a lot of people, and they look at keeping their septic as a way more affordable option. I wanted to share that what my bills are, so that you can appreciate why some people may not want to sign on. So I have a large family, we have a lot going on in our household. But my water bill for this past quarter was $94.50. My sewer bill was $239. So it's about 2.5 times the amount to get rid of the water as it is to bring in clean water. And places I've lived before, they're usually a little bit more equal, same amount to get rid of as it is to bring it in. So I think in addition to looking at maybe some incentive programs, using some funding to get people to sign on, I know that you'll be looking at the rates. I think definitely raising the rates would be a huge negative, but I also think you need to look at the possibility of bringing down that unit charge and making a little bit closer to even ground, considering that all the water that comes into the house doesn't necessarily go into the sewer, so all the more it's a little prohibitive, I think, for some folks to think about leaving septic option if they can keep that, even if we've got a lot of folks probably with really unhealthy septics that should be on the sewer but aren't because of the cost. So I'll listen to what you guys knock around later, but I wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Other comments from the public? Okay. Item number 5, business items. 5.1, review and approve Oxford Plains Speedway mass gathering application for the 50th annual Oxford 250 weekend with the expected attendees of 5,000 to 14,999.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. 5.2, Oxford Plains Speedway mass gathering application for scheduled events with expected attendees of 1,000 to 4,999.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. 5.3, review, approve application to change the location of Paz Trading Company.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. 5.4, review, approve appointments of Patricia Larrabee and Brian Landis to the Appeals Board.
Motion approved.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. 5.5, Community Resilience Partnership Discussion. Adam.
All right. So, this agenda item was added. I had been speaking to Claire over at the Community Resilience Partnership. This is in reference to a grant, remember back in the beginning of January that we discussed at the board meeting to allow for the purchase of solar and electric chargers for the vehicles and so forth. There's other energy efficiency things that were part of that as well. When we discussed that, there was some concerns regarding the required statements within the municipal resolution that we had discussed. So with that being said, Claire, I thought I saw you make it in the back. Did you want to address the board and maybe talk about as far as the required statements in the municipal resolution, what needs to be in there and maybe what's optional? Because I do feel pretty strongly that's probably the hang up here, if you will, is what that language.
Do you guys have copies of it?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's just the first 3 clauses there are required, and then most of the towns we work with around here pick things that are specific to the town. Some of them are obviously not because they're like have to do with sea level rise or something like that. Other towns have chosen things that are more pertinent. But there's no requirement other than the first 3. we've gone past all the 9 towns that we're working with at the time.
So in order, if we agree to this, we would have to agree to those 3 first items. Okay, so I think that is what the discussion was, and once we found out that we would have to agree to do that.
Those items don't require you to do anything other than agree to them, but the rest of the things we have to have a public meeting.
Right.
Some public meeting
Right.
and do the community assessment.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if the board had any thoughts on any of those, or,
I don't care for the language that says it's required language. If the gentleman's talking about it, it's not necessarily required.
So the first 3 clauses are required language for the resolution, just to enroll in the partnership. And then, once we're enrolled, then we can apply for grants. Originally, it was supposed to be every 6 months. It's on a little bit of a hiatus right now, so it's waiting for budgeting, but we should be able to apply for up to $50,000 every 6 months. And there's 70 different things. I mean, I mentioned a couple that have to do with renewable energy, but there's 3 different categories. Some of them are watershed protection or bike lanes or different 71.
I'm not sure if you have those, but we do have copies. We don't have that full list.
So as an example, the 3rd item, the town would have to designate a specific municipal staff person and name an existing or newly established committee to coordinate planning, implementation, and monitoring of energy and resilience projects, and to be the primary point of contact to the Community Resilience Partnership. We would have to do that.
So, yeah, to clarify, I can give a good example. I worked with Otisfield, and over in Otisfield, they named their town clerk as the point person. Now, that doesn't mean the town clerk is now tracking energy usage and doing all that instead of their day-to-day tasks. What it means is when someone from the partnership wants to reach out to say, you received a grant, or we want to send this update to you, they'll email the town clerk. In Otisfield, they ended up deciding to establish a resilience committee to kind of help the town, put it on volunteers to be thinking about this instead of taking up their officials' times. So that clause is just saying that you need to name someone who's going to answer the email to say, yes, we accept this grant, or to be that person who the partnership can contact.
Okay. Do we have any comments from the board on this, or questions or anything?
So I guess where I'm at is from the last discussion we had in January, is that the board was not interested in moving forward with this process. When we had a discussion about that in follow-up, Claire had asked if she could have an opportunity to speak to the board about it. But without further, without a vote telling me to do otherwise at this point, based on the last discussion, I feel like it stands the same, that I'm not to move forward with the process. So, would you agree with that?
That's how I would agree with this, that we have already made the decision not to move forward with this unless a board member wants to reconsider this.
Just to put things in a little bit of perspective too, so for South Paris, Chris Summers is our point of contact there, and so their first grant, they're putting solar panels on their police department. It's going to save the town about $1,000 a month in their electric bill. And Chris has to do nothing but just be the contact person for the solar installers that So there's some serious savings for the town over time that you could accrue here. That solar system will be there for 30+ years, and it's a lot of free electricity for the town. So there's some simple things you guys could do to save the town. You put a dent in your budget for this.
That would be, not everybody supports solar. So I think that's where a lot of this has to do with the decisions that have been made and the green energy and everything. So at this point, I don't see that the board wishes to open the discussion up to go any further. Thank you.
Well, we just felt like we needed to do due diligence because
Right.
We are working for the state. I guess we had a signed agreement to, was it just from you?
Yeah,
But not
we-
from the select board, so we can go back and just tell the state that we tried, we did our best. And you guys have a discussion. If you change your mind, you want to join, every other town in the state is on the program. Maybe you could talk to those folks, talk to Chris over in South Paris, talk to Rick over in Otisfield, see how it's gone for them, but they had a lot of community support around it, and seems to be working out, so.
Thank you.
Welcome in the future cohort.
Thank you.
Feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Item 5.6, accept a $250 donation from William and Martha Booth to the Fire Department Reserve account.
Motion to accept. Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. 5.7, accept a $100 donation from Peter and Beverly Laverdiere to the Police Reserve account.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. 5.8, accept a $100 donation from Waylard Sharp and Susan Weaver to the Police Reserve account.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. 5.9, Fire Department, fiscal year 2023-24 budget adjustment.
So I can go into as much detail as you'd like, but in short, during the budget process, when we did the final figures on the addition of the hours on the weekends, doing the quick math in the room, I came up with a number that was a little higher than it needed to be. The selectmen had voted on adding additional personnel for one additional day, not both additional days. And so the figure that was voted on was $953,027 for the total EMS fire budget, but the corrected amount is actually $946,253. So coming to the board just to say that asking if you guys would vote on the corrected amount, as that's what's needed to fund it at what was voted on.
So moved. Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Thank you.
Apologize for the error.
5.10, review award paving bids, Whittemore Road, number 6 Road, Pottle Road. Adam.
All right, so again, we put out to bid the 3 roads that were just listed, Whittemore, number 6, and Pottle. And just to be clear, the number 6 road is Beacon Hill to East Oxford Road, and Whittemore is from the Station Road to East Oxford Road intersection, and then Pottle Road is the entire thing. Pottle Road is only shim and overlay. So the board had discussed interest in trying to fund all of these from the 9701 fund balance account. The total of that would end up being $806,000. So if the board is interested in doing that, since we did the fund balance transfer, certainly that could be done. We would have to make some adjustments to other capital plans and so forth that have been discussed, but none of those, other than the police vehicle, the GIS, none of those things have been voted on up to this point. So, what are your thoughts?
Discussion on roads that you want to do and what you wanna do to them.
And I mean, he is on Whittemore Road, he doesn't show any guardrail. He does show it on number 6 road. I'm just wondering if that's on, not sure where we'd be putting guardrail on number 6, but there's definitely a section where the big culvert crosses that probably ought to have some guardrail. We have it on one side currently, we don't have it on the other.
I can give clarification on that if you want. So it's on number 6 road, you were saying?
Whittemore Road is where it needs to be. I don't know where he has 100 feet, lineal feet for number 6 road, and I'm not sure where he's gonna put it, but I'm just wondering if he's got it on the wrong road.
I don't know, that right here on, number 6, isn't there a little place down there where the brook is there? where-
Well, yeah, but I mean.
You don't think it's that long?
No.
There is a place on the Whittle Brook. Yes. Especially when the brook comes across there.
Yep. That'd be my other thing. The other thing, 2 of those roads definitely need to be done, in my opinion.
With the gravel basin service pavers, which you're supporting.
Yep.
Okay. Colby?
Well, yeah, I think we should be doing the whole project.
Yeah.
And the funding, I think we should come a little creative, see if there's a way we can come up with the additional $400,000. Tom, did you have any thoughts?
I think if you're gonna do it, I mean, I think that there's funds in the fund balance policy account. I think that that's exactly where I would turn to. I think that we would need to, the capital plan that I outlaid to you guys, there's a few adjustments that, I think we would need to make, but I think they're all doable. Setting aside, some of the monies that we discussed for, yes, the fire truck, for some other items, some of those big purchases, I think that, those would need to be adjusted, that's all, in order to accommodate, but.
What about on the sewage, when the $60,000 there?
The sewer was to be raised and appropriated at town meeting.
No, but I mean,
There's a
didn't you put in for?
Oh, the generator, excuse me,
Generator,
yes.
yes.
So that, right now, he, meaning Zenia, the sewer department, he has a portable generator that he brings from locations, and all he was trying to do is have a fixed one, so he didn't have to do that. I don't see why that can't wait till next year. I mean, he's still able to maintain that.
What do we have for roads that we're looking at next year?
So I know that I don't actually have actually maybe I do have that list in front of me with me. I did not bring it. So Rob Prue and Jim and I worked on putting together a list of about 9 roads. The Whittemore and number 6 were seen as the top priorities. I know Rabbit Valley Road is on there, and there's some other ones as well.
I would agree with Whittemore and number 6, but I mean, if we just drove down this road.
Yeah. Yeah, but this
I
one-
don't notice any bad holes or bad dips in the Pottle Road. I don't drive it every day, like, well, I don't drive any of those roads every day, so. I certainly don't think this is the 3rd worst road we have in town by any stretch.
Agreed. Yeah, and to be.
But I mean, on this one, he was basically thinking that just to keep it up, correct?
Shim and pave.
Yes.
Shim and overlay, yep.
And there are sections of it, as you can tell on both sides of the road, that have been filled in with patch. When you first come off 26, the edges of the roads really need to be built back up and fixed.
When's the last time this has been paved?
I don't know the answer to that.
In quite a while. I think that should stay in the shim and overlay.
I do, especially since the town office is here now. It's going to, I think it's always seen a lot of traffic, but I think it will see a lot more traffic with the town office being here. And I do support the full reconstruction on Whittemore number 6. I know some of us have discussed, the options from the fund balance, and I agree that we need to put money aside for the fire truck, the $250,000, but I'm going to say that I think that can wait until next year, as well as $130,000 for the baler and the $60,000 for the generator. I think if we use the monies, those monies, instead of putting them in an account for those three items, then we would have enough money to do the roads. And we can look at that again next year for those other three items. That would be my suggestion for looking at the money without borrowing or reducing our accounts anymore.
Well, there's definitely no question that Whittemore or number 6 road, and really there's no sense of us shimming over that ain't gonna amount to a damn.
Those roads you're talking about.
Yeah, no, I mean, you gotta get down.
rebuilt.
Those two
I know it's a
roads.
lot of money, but I think we'd be crazy not to do them.
I can't remember when Whittemore road's been done.
It looks like a
A
back
long
road.
time ago, and it was
Well,
only
well,
half done.
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
only
Literally.
half- Only pieces of it done.
Right.
Yeah, one half, and they did right down the middle.
Oh, I think that's top priority. Number 6 road is the top priority for Beacon Hill, East Oxford Road. And I think this should be done again, so I agree with your assessment.
Yes, I agree with you to do what's listed there, but I have a problem with putting that baler off again. We're on borrowed time with that again, and we just keep putting it off and putting it off. And put it in the capital for the town to vote on, my suggestion. But I just don't, it's not getting any cheaper, and that thing is just not gonna last forever. We've put that off, I don't know how many times, probably since I've been sitting on this board, so at some point you just gotta buy it.
Man.
Sure.
So, when we're, as we talk about these, totals and so forth, this is just some rough numbers. I mean, if you do this, do the paving, you do the police department vehicle and the GIS mapping like we've already talked about, you also got to consider that there's going to be some more deductions because we're finishing the reval, and so forth. The final payment on the, not payment, but installment on the highway truck that we're waiting on delivery of. So that's going to bring us down to about 1.2 million in the fund balance account if we do all these things that we just talked about. So I mean, there's still some room for some other things to be done, and the board very well could choose that you want to prioritize, say, the baler and not do some of these smaller items. I do think that there's things like the bottles for the fire department that are highly important, some of the turnout gear, the police department with some radios. There's some maintenance items that need to be done over at the transfer station. I mean, there's some specific smaller items I think we're going to need to address. But what I'm trying to say is, it's whatever your comfort level is on that fund balance amount. I guess I know I don't pay taxes here, but I would be hesitant. I'd be hesitant to ask the town meeting in these economic times for a lot more when funds are there. That's all.
With the fund balance, I don't want to see that drop lower than $1 million. That's always been, that's the low side of where I like to see it anyway, but not any more than that. And, every year, we look at the priorities, and every year something has to go in second place. So, and that's what happens when we look at the priorities. And right now, I think Whittemore and number 6 are the top two.
I looked at the Whittemore Road, and a lot of people think about it maybe 10 years ago. But within the last 10 to 15 years, how many houses are going up on the road?
A lot.
And that needs to be taken care of. I mean, I can't believe it. I hadn't been on it for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden I went to the Northeast houses everywhere. So I think we gotta take care of the taxpayers of the town of Oxford. So that's why I look at the roads. Because if they got a bad road, they got trouble with their vehicles.
So what do you want to do tonight about taking action on approving this with funding to start this.
I agree with you, what you have to say. If you need that to be a motion, I'll make that motion. And then we can vote on it, and if we do, we do, if we don't, we don't.
Okay.
So, motion is that we take the,
You made the motion?
yep,
Second.
Discussion.
I just want to, I'll support this, but knowing and agreeing with you that there's a flat amount we're gonna get to on the fund balance, and we probably need an updated list of what this, where this is gonna put our fund balance with this spending, and an updated list of what we have for capital and projects that we wanna do. I'm not a big one on supporting $250,000 for a fire truck in 1 year, but we need to put something aside for a fire truck. Whatever amount we can agree on, and similar to the Baylor, I don't know Baylor, I'm gonna take Ed's word and Scott's word that this has been on the, ask for several years now, and we keep pushing it off. At some point, if we don't spend the money, it will quit, and we'll have to spend the money then, and hopefully we'll have the money then in fund balance. But it's just, we're not gonna fund it all. We can't fund it all. So I think, for me, I wanna see an updated list of what we have and what we need.
I think if I may, based on what's decided here tonight, I will make sure at the next meeting that we have exactly what you're asking for. We'll have this 9701 account, all the breakdowns of what's in all the different individual line items and so forth. Yep.
Other discussions? All those in favor of Calder's motion? Opposed? Okay, thank you.
And I assume that includes the manager signing the contracts for.
Yes, it's approving the jobs and the money to do it.
Need a motion to accept P&B's payment there.
That would probably be wise, please, yes.
Make a motion that we accept the bids from P&B paving for Whittemore, number 6, and Potter Road for a total of $806.53.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. 5.11, review award bid for the police patrol vehicle.
All right, so we put this out to bid. We received 2 bids. One, this is for a pickup truck, and Cork Ford, $46,743. And then from another company out of New York, right, Chief?
Yes.
Yeah. Command Fleet Corp. And option 1 is just the pickup truck alone for $54,985. Option 2, which we didn't ask for but they included anyway, was the pickup completely upfitted with all of the police equipment that is needed, minus the radio, for $68,835. The chief and I have looked at these bids. The chief's recommendation, and I agree, is the option 1, the lower bidder, which is $46,743, would be the preferred way to go, if you will. The chief feels rather strongly that he can get that vehicle outfitted for, still less than the 68 for the other bids. So the board is asked to consider the bids, and if agreeable, we're good.
Calder?
I make a motion, we accept the bid for Cork Motors for $46,743. Second.
Discussion?
So, in Leo's letter, they don't know that Ford's gonna come through and actually build them, correct?
Well, last I knew they had some.
Okay.
But I don't know if I called them or if they would still have it on the lot or not.
That's certainly, you're gonna get back to us if they don't have any and they're not building anymore, because we'll have to do something else.
Oh, yeah.
And this was the latest one that came in
Days
in
ago.
the past several weeks, so.
What's it cost you to outfit the last run vehicles, Chief?
Estimate was right around 15 with everything.
You you're predicting the same for this one?
Well, I crunched some numbers this afternoon. I spoke to Tommy Williams, who actually led the Chargers. That was 800 before. He couldn't give me an estimate till the 28th because they're gonna reconfigure it a little bit, because I like all the vehicles to look the same. And the truck is longer than the Chargers, so there might be a small increase there. I don't expect anything large at all. But he couldn't give me those numbers until the 28th.
No matter how much I pushed you.
I pushed through.
Where do you put the equipment? Who does that?
The equipment's gonna be done by, Jeff Hartford. He's the one who did the Chargers also. And I've been conversing with him also for an estimate. And with the Chargers, they actually came in a kit. They had several different choices for me. With the trucks, they don't, they have to piece it. So he was putting that all together for me too. So I did some numbers, the crews are set up, not including the camera system and radar, because I'm gonna try to use the ones out of the car that I'm gonna replace, was $10,236.
Do we have a running contract with them, or does that gotta go? I mean, we're talking upwards of an amount with that.
That would
Have to be bid.
That would trigger a bid, yeah, you're right.
And that was last year's prices. So I don't know what this year's will be until he gets back.
I know those companies and people are busy, but, I mean, that's, it's not getting any cheaper, and that, you're in bid range. I mean, we're at an amount where you're probably supposed to go to bid.
That makes sense. And that's real
We can do
simple to
that.
do. Yep.
Further discussion? All those in favor of call this motion? Opposed? Thank you. Town sewer discussion.
All right. So apparently the sewer's been on a lot of our minds lately. So, in short, one of the things that I've been working on behind the scenes as well is very much like was commented on by the public a little bit earlier, is some sort of an incentive program to try and get more people to be interested in hooking up with the sewer. Working on how many laterals that we have and so forth, and what's being utilized and what's not. I think I'm not, tonight not prepared to go into a whole lot of details on where we're at, but I will say that there was a newspaper article recently where they said that we were $1 million deficit every year. And one of the things I did want to mention about that is, when you look at it in one direction, sure, it's $1 million deficit. But the other thing you have to look at is the fact that the town did a huge build out a few years ago, and there's debt service that is paying for all that infrastructure that the town has been using Route 26 TIF money to pay for. So that a big portion of that is being paid for by the TIF. Where there is a deficit that the sewer department would cost about a little over $400,000 to run, and we are about $200,000 short in revenue from all of that, and that's because we've had such a minimal amount of participation in the sewer district, and there has also not been any movement on the standby fees as well when it comes to if the pipe goes by your house and you can hook up. So what I'm hoping to do is, if the board is interested, is put together an incentive program using a combination of the $250,000 that was set aside for a loan program to get folks hooked up, as well as some Route 26 TIF money, because it is expanding the sewer, it is economic development, doing a combination thereof of some sort of either a forgivable loan program or a grant program that towns, taxpayers could enroll in, and if they enroll, say, in the first year, then that'll avoid any standby fees in the future or something like that. So I'm trying to craft something together with some real numbers attached to it to show how much that would actually cost, and then how much standby fees might be, that kind of a thing. So, and that's not a lot of in-depth,
But the number, just so I'm not completely wrong here, your number that you originally put out the night when the paper was here, that was not taking include any of the TIF money being used against it. It was just who's on it paying for it, correct?
Well, I never said $1 million deficit to the newspaper. I'll say
No,
that.
but there was that number was thrown around here.
Right,
auditor.
the auditor brought up about $1 million deficit, and he was including everything from operational and debt service all in one.
Right. So what I'm saying is, that's taken, as if it was gonna pay for itself directly, not using the tip money for,
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So for the next meeting, you're going to have numbers for us that are going to show how many households could be charged a standby fee because the sewer goes by their house.
How-
If we did what the policy, what the ordinance requires, right?
And businesses, yes.
And the businesses.
Mhm.
And what that amount would be that we could collect, as well as what we're collecting now, so that we'll have all of that information to look at. In
Yep.
addition to options of an incentive program.
Yes, and I mean, right now, when you look at the revenue for the most recent quarter, the wastewater treatment plant took in about $40,000. The north end sewer, we took in about $17,000. Now, you keep in mind, though, we're being billed from Norway for that, so.
That's a wash.
That's a wash. But we definitely need to see an increase in that revenue. I know that there wasn't a lot of, forgive my phrase, stomach for increasing, sewer fees, but I think that just getting more actual participation would be a huge step in the right direction.
Well, I agree with that, because I do believe when this started, the number of household and businesses that were going to hook up were not even close to those numbers,
Right.
as what was talked about. And I think that we need to actively find a way to get people to hook up. We can't have this increase on the backs of the 200 and something people who are on the sewer now. And I'm a supporter of the standby fees because that is in the ordinance. And I think if you did a survey in the state of Maine, you'd find that that is the way it goes. If the sewer goes by your house, you pay a standby fee, which is written in our ordinance. That was a requirement of getting this money. So I think that's real important. So we'll,
You either gotta do that or you gotta make them put on.
right.
Well, that's what I think. I mean, obviously you can't force anybody, but I mean, I think that making it so that it's incentivized, so that hey, if you hook up in this first year of the program, then you either get a forgivable loan, or something, along those lines, or some percentage off, or something like that. We can put together a list of preferred contractors. I mean, we can really make it so it's simple, easy for folks. And then if you go beyond that 1 year, expect to have to start paying the standby fee quarterly. I mean, that's the direction I'm heading. So obviously that'll be all subject to discussion here.
So this amount on the second page, 220,463, that's what's left in the loan fund.
Yes. Yep.
How is that loan fund written in? Is that a statute ordinance?
That was voted on when you guys voted on the sewer system itself. It was set aside specifically. I think it was part of the original grant that you had to create a fund for that.
So
So
can you use that money as an incentive, so we're gonna pay a quarter of your cost, or we're gonna pay half of your cost to connect?
yes.
So that's not a loan, but
It's like a
as an
grant.
incentive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
And then this page of the bill list, these are people that are hooked up that are part of the loan program?
Yes, if you're looking at one of the yep.
Yep.
There's like 6 of them on there or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so next meeting, we'll have additional information so we can discuss what we do.
Yeah, I just assumed that you folks wanted this on here as a discussion moment to give any input before I start putting something together. If you're all on board with me putting that together, I will do that and bring it to you next time. So.
All right, thank you. 5.13, Recreation Department parking lot discussion.
All right. So somebody was interested in looking at getting the parking lot paved at the rec center, and it is a mud pit over there. So I did ask Rob Prue, the engineer at Pine Tree, to give an estimate. He estimates it would be $91,000 to pave that parking lot. I included for the board a map that shows the entire parking lot. I think we certainly could look at maybe shrinking that down of the actual paved area, but $91,000 seems pretty rich to me. Is the maybe shrinking the project a little bit, putting it on future capital plans? Does the board have any interest in this right now, or thoughts?
I think it, put it to a future capital plan.
I do think that we need to keep an eye on it this year, and when fill is needed, or grading needs to be done over there.
I mean, we could put some gravel down there to take care of some of that problem, could we?
Yeah.
Get it up, graded out.
What about reclaim?
Well,
Put reclaim on it and roll it and.
Right.
We just.
I mean,
Have Jim check into the reclaim, see how much it would cost.
I think that's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
I mean, when they ended getting mine down there, well, they put reclaim down with the paver first, and then roll it with the pavement, and they quite, I mean, before they got the pavement on it, it made a heck of a difference.
I'll talk to you then.
When you're talking about future payment projects, I think 21 years is gonna be about the extended life of the payment at public safety building, and at some point we need to put the final code on before we have to redo the whole damn thing. It's one of those projects we keep putting off as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
There's a lot of holes there that.
Literally.
Number 6, department head reports. Are there any department heads?
I didn't intend just with how long the agenda was.
Number 7, town managers report.
All right, I'll make this quick. So the first thing is the draft town meeting warrants. I can't believe we're talking about town meeting warrants. So you folks have the town meeting warrant in front of you. It stays pretty straightforward compared to last year's. We don't have any ordinance changes coming down the pike or anything like that. The one big change you see is Article 25 has been added, and what Article 25 does is it clarifies the Board of Selectmen's authority to waive the foreclosure on properties that are going into foreclosure. So the reason that you might want to do that is, for instance, if we had a very hazardous piece of property like an old gas station or something like that, that it would be not in the town's best interest to take ownership of that. This article would allow the Board of Selectmen to waive that foreclosure. So without that article, you don't clearly have the authority to do that. Outside of that, everything has been updated. A couple other little things that were done. The attorney did recommend that now, with legislation that has changed over the last few years, changing it from selectmen to select boards, so that has been updated as well. Other than that, things are pretty straightforward.
Do you have any questions or comments on anything in the warrant?
you looking for a motion on this warrant?
I was planning on giving it as a draft. I did talk to the chairman before the meeting, and I mean, I'm ready to move forward. If you guys want to approve it and sign it tonight, I have a copy for you to sign, or you can do it at the next meeting.
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you.
We'll pass that around at the end with the APs. Thank you. Also, you guys have received a copy of your audits. These should be on your table. That's from the auditor. And then the next thing I wanted to comment on was Thompson Lake Dam. I've been getting a lot of calls about Thompson Lake Dam. Somebody left. About the Thompson Lake Dam. So I just want to do a very quick review. We worked with Inland Fisheries last year a lot. Inland Fisheries installed a scale down there that if you pull up to where the dam is and look through the fence, you can see the scale physically yourself. You don't need to climb the fence or do any gymnastics. You can see it with the naked eye. And Their recommendation is to keep the water level at 32 inches in the winter and 15 inches in the summer, and it's currently at 27 inches now. I may have those backwards. So the dam is closed right now, the water level is rising, and so we are following the plan of what IF&W has told us to do. And the biggest thing that we're running into is there's folks at one end of the lake that say the water's way too low, but then at the other end of the lake, we'll have folks saying the water level's too high. So we're going by what IF&W told us their recommendations were for water levels, and that's where we're keeping it.
And the difference between their recommendations and what was agreed upon by the four towns on it is what?
Well, I don't have that in front of me, the measurements, but the thing is that we brought IF&W in because we were all over the map before, and asked, and asked for their recommendations. We can revisit these, but TLEA seemed pretty happy with IF&W's recommendations.
I thought we had, just like Hogan Whitney, I thought we had established levels for winter and summer for both Thompson Lake and the two.
From what I've seen, for Hogan and Whitney Pond and Welchville Dam, we have a specific town meeting warrant that voted on when the dam would be open, closed, and otherwise, but I have not seen that for Thompson Lake. I'm happy to stand
That
corrected.
probably needs to be looked at too, because the weather patterns now is, those dates might not be, you may need to open it earlier or open it later, depending on where the water's at the time. I think it's more important what the weather is than the date you're actually doing it.
Yeah, Whitney's pretty straight. I mean, it specifically says in the article from back in the 90s, I think it was, when you have to do everything. So I just wanted to give a quick update, that's all. And that's all I have.
Selectmen items.
Did we award something to Pratt and Sons on down Rabbit Valley?
No. So the only Pratt and Son thing it would be for, back to Hogan Whitney Pond, the VHB has been looking at, and they did put out bids. That was part of their package for putting in those berms and so forth. But a bid did come in for that, and it was much higher than was anticipated by VHB. But that also has hit a stopgap because the federal funding that we're looking at from the congressional grant, what we're finding out is going to be at least another year before that, because of the process that we now have to go through. So that's the only Pratt and Son related thing that's come up.
Yeah, because a guy called me today and wanted to know if we were on it, and I said, well, I don't know, but I'll ask tonight. Did he call you too? Because he said he did.
He emailed me, and
Okay.
I put him in contact with VHB, who emailed me that they
Well,
had a
they're
conversation.
taken care of by now.
It's been 100% taken care of, so.
Good.
I have a question about fire police. So, I wasn't aware that Oxford is the only neighboring town that has fire police. Paris doesn't have fire police.
They used to, they might have one after.
Norway. So, when there's a call for fire police in Norway and Paris, who gets dispatched? Oxford Fire Police. So I'm all for mutual aid, fire departments, police departments, but if we're the only one for fire police, that doesn't sound very mutual to me.
Are they compensating us for it, though?
I paid the payroll.
Town
Well, I
Oxford,
mean, the
Yeah,
towns,
sorry, town.
the other towns are.
They used to years ago, but then it was got into a whole mess of liabilities and stuff like that. So we pay for all the workers' comp, payroll, everything.
So,
I don't know if everybody knew that. I have, on behalf of the taxpayers of Oxford, I have an issue with that we're sending people to other towns. Again, strictly fire police, not the mutual aid agreements we have, because those are necessary for both. But we shouldn't be providing a service outside that they're not providing themselves or helping us provide, and not at least billing them for it. I don't know if the chief wants to weigh in, I mean, he's here, I don't want to put him on the
It's
spot.
just the way it's been done. You're the first one to ever question it, I guess.
but
Well, I don't think we
I didn't
knew
know
it.
it was happening till I saw it on the scanner.
But at one time Harris did have, and you're saying. that-
Years ago.
Yeah, but
I
they
remember
only
they
have-
had some older,
Paris and Norway both did it one day.
Yeah.
But our fire police at one point was going as far as West Paris and mutual aid.
And I'm good with that, if it's mutual aid, but that's not mutual aid, in my opinion, I don't know if you think.
Does
But
West
at
Harris?
that, but at that point, when we originally set up fire police, that this, I brought this same concern up, is that Oxford should not be paying, so if we're going, my thought was that if they're going, they're protecting my butt, standing in the road or whatever they're doing, because we're there.
Right.
But if Paris has an accident on 26 and they need fire police, good. You can have them, but you're paying for them.
That's exactly what happened. It was an immediate, they toned out the police, Harris Fire and Oxford Fire Police.
I want to say it was after Chief Sacco got here, that got changed to, we were paying for, somebody had to cover the workers' comp,
I think that's correct.
so,
And
in case they got hurt.
if we have the people and we have the manpower to do that and provide their service,
We don't.
I'm okay
And
with
I had
that, but.
agreed with that. The problem is, when they was going up there, something happened here, then our fire police are tied up. In my opinion is, I don't know, Oxford should come first with that.
Absolutely.
Well, I would agree with that, Dana. If the other towns do not have fire police, then there's no mutual aid as far as I'm concerned. If we decide to have fire police, which we do, that is for service in this town.
The town lodge.
And if they are used in other towns, that should be paid for by those towns if they go.
So if we can do a little bit of research and find out how many times in the last 6 months, a year, fire police has gone to other towns with and without.
Less than a dozen.
So we're not talking huge money here, but it is, again, I don't think.
No, but then if they get hurt up there though, they're on our workers' comp.
Yeah.
I understand.
That's the
that.
problem.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Are we looking to make any policy changes tonight, or you want to look into this and have another discussion on it?
Look into it.
I think we need to hear back
Okay.
on, and possibly even reach out to the other towns to let them know that we're aware now.
Okay.
And also confirm if they actually have any fire police in those towns where ours go.
And I think to agree with the fire chief, I think probably what's happened is that it's just the other ones kind of dissolved over time, and the practice just continued and probably didn't get a lot of thought, so that doesn't make it right.
I don't think it would be right if it was the other way around. If I was to solve and we had Paris come down to do all our fire police stuff, we probably would want payment for that.
I'll follow up.
Scott?
I'm assuming that Tyler is aware of the road collapse on top of Allen Hill.
Double check. Nobody's mentioned it to me, so.
I noticed it on the way here, and
I discussed it with Shane, they are aware of that.
Oh, they are? Thank you.
so I had a couple times there, because the stick would have cut it at nighttime.
They spray painted it now too.
That would have been
There was a cone there, but I don't know what happened to the cone, it's gone.
So, and the other part,
Somebody stole it.
the other part,
Probably,
Robinson Hill Road, where we had that washout during the storm. Now that the snow's melted, that's undermining it again, so maybe they could put some more material there to save some of our hot top.
Doesn't it have to be some form of hot top? The gravel's just gonna keep going out.
Well, I'm assuming at some point the federal government's gonna allow us to fix it the right way, but till then. Because you got Jeannie's driveway that's gotta be fixed, his little lot where it washed out, and that whole hill.
Under that hill we've lucked out this winter.
The other thing is, when they go up to, do whatever they're gonna do to that tree, when they turn off in Whittemore onto Robinson Hill,
Mm-hmm.
If they look in the sky, they'll see a limb that's been broken. 6 months dangling on the end of another limb there, maybe that ought to get knocked down if they were up there. It's been there quite a while.
Yeah, that's,
Does that, the
Doesn't
machine
go by
that we
the-
bought, does it cut, how high does it cut up? You know, the thing that was
On the
digging ditches
excavator?
but cuts too,
It was 16, didn't it?
yeah, as high as that excavator will reach, so.
60 feet?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's gonna do mine, I don't know about yours.
Well, no, that's just a limb. I mean, I probably
Right.
somebody somehow used something there to poke it down and they got up inside the back of the body. Big production. So it is just sitting there. It's hung up pretty good because it's been there quite a while.
Other comments?
I have a question, statement. I know it's not his fault, probably he wasn't trained well or anything else, but the guy driving the plow truck up our way, he's made tremendous sandbanks and dug up parts of the road. And I think it's because, even though you plow, you put the heel down, you're supposed to pick that heel out and then feed the blade. But he's putting the heel down and he's plowing everything right along and tearing up the side of the roads and sandbanks like that there. So just something for Jim to look at and see if he can repair it.
Sorry.
Really bad on number 6 road.
You mean the pavement there?
Sorry, we're gonna pave that anyway.
Not that area.
Property, right?
Not that area, that's down by the airport.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. Sign warrants, 85, 86, 87, and 88.
Can you talk about the DEP thing too? Yeah.
We know if they want to do.
Would it be okay, Sharon, if we brought that up while we're signing one?
Sure.
So another just additional thing, I guess, under the manager comments, a couple months ago, the DEP came and visited us at the transfer station at our request. Floyd was there as well, and it was about the location of the cans. And they gave us some direction or thoughts, would that be the right, where the cans could go?
Suggestions.
Suggestions, yes.
That's good.
So, they didn't recommend moving them down on that other, what would you call that? Shelf.
Down the lower side.
Right, they didn't recommend putting on the lower side, just simply because they,
Floodplain.
floodplain, that's right. So, but they did tell us we could reposition them near where they were, or put ramps up to them where they are, do all kinds of things to that nature, but floodplain was the reason why they didn't think we should put them where they were in the past. Does that sound right?
Correct. I remember that, but that was just why we loaded the big truck.
I don't know if the board had any thoughts or questions on that, because we talked about it some in the past, but since Ed was here, I thought we'd bring it up.
So that's what you're gonna do is put the cans.
Down there, the DEP says don't put them down there, because of the floodplain.
The 500-year flood.
And the asbestos field is there.
The asbestos field is there as well. Did you have any thoughts on that, Floyd, or pretty much?
Well, I mean, I don't think, I didn't see what he sent back, but what he told us down there that day, he really wasn't requiring a whole lot to make a ramp so somebody could back up there, dump a demo into the can.
Right.
I mean, I don't think that's I would think the town crew could do that, but maybe I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, in the general area where they are now, and then just making a ramp up to the cans there.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was the, I mean, that's what I got out of it.
Same here.
You know, and, I mean, if you had something like that, it would seem to me that they could get a large, the person bringing it in could get a large percentage of that in the can without us touching it.
Who's gonna send around the?
Warrant, I think
You got
Oh.
it?
it hasn't quite made it to you
Oh,
yet.
okay. Nope.
Oh, you was worried about me?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know
I was
that.
concerned about you.
Yeah, it was
I wanna make sure you're interested.
That's right there.
I'm sure you were.
I was at work at 7.
That's good.
Blue pen, please.
Yeah.
Oh, bossy, you know that?
So,
Oh,
she
no,
is
sorry.
thinking.
10.1.
Still shares.
Oh, I looked at the pen.
Oh, there's all kinds of things.
Please.
We thought he was out of here. Hang on, you need to do that blue. One of us anyway.
What?
Ask the boss.
It's supposed to be blue.
Alright, brought the wrong color tonight.
State tells me black and you tell me blue.
Can you use the blue pen?
What do you got?
Oh, I got one.
I got one coming.
Black? It's just a dark blue.
Here's another blue.
Yes. See what
Hold on, we have like, hold
see what
on.
you've done to them over there?
Can you supply us with all blue?
I'm gonna, yeah. I'm gonna have to look.
So everything's gonna be signed in blue now? The state
It
requires
should.
black.
It always was.
It all,
Everything for the state was always blue. When we had liquor license, anything, it always had to be blue.
Except for the state itself, and then
anything if you notarize it, that's in black.
2 there. So they can tell it's not a copy.
That's right.
Exactly.
Unless you got a color copy, yeah. And it comes out. It comes out.
It does, but you can still tell it's a copy. And you can sell
Yeah.
there.
Blue. This one.
He's here.
Just one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Last one coming.
There you go.
Okay.
Who's the blue pen back?
Pens.
Make a motion to accept.
Sharon, she wants that back.
I do.
Make a motion to accept 85, 86, 87, and 88.
All those in favor? Thank you. Item number 10, executive session, 10.1, to enter into executive session to discuss confidential records pursuant to MRSA Title I, Chapter 13, Section 405, 6F.
So moved.
Well, I was gonna ask if we could take those out of order. I'm assuming that's what this lady is.
Yes, that's,
The
this is
second
what it
one.
is. Yep.
Yeah,
Oh, the first one is hers or the second one's hers?
The first one.
the first one.
Moving on.
And Ricky, and you can hang out, we'll get the, get you the next for after.
You know.
Do you want this closed?
Yes, please. Wendy's bringing us, I didn't have enough copies, it was good catch, Sharon, sorry.